The topic I chose for my video on leadership is the topic of servant leadership. Just a quick introduction. Servant leadership is an ancient idea that's been referenced by many philosophers and religious texts like the Bible. It was also coined by Robert K. Greenleaf in 1970. These are just 5 main traits that every servant leader tends to have. Number 1, empathy is huge. So seeking to understand the needs of those around them. Number 2, servant leaders are committed to the growth and development of people. They are really good at listening to other people's needs. They help build community, and they're highly aware of the socio-emotional dynamics in their organization. Greenleaf says that the servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve as opposed to wanting power, influence, fame, or wealth. So this quote shows us that servant leaders truly, that their heart motive is not about personal gain, but truly the well-being and success of everyone around them. I really like this slide because it shows us the differences between traditional leaders and servant leaders. Traditional leaders see leadership as a rank to obtain. They use power and control to drive performance, maybe even fear. They measure success through results and output of employees. They like to speak and dominate conversations and meetings, and they believe that it's truly about them, that if they were not in the position that they're in, that the company or organization would not be as successful. Servant leaders, on the other hand, share power and control to drive engagement. They like to see everyone bought into a vision. They measure success through growth and development of all stakeholders. They are quick to listen to the needs of others, and they understand that it's not about them, but truly the collective. I really like this next slide because it shows us what a school would look like if the leadership implemented a servant leadership style, management style. So, unlike the image on the left side, which is a traditional organizational structure, I would like to point your attention to the one on the right. Think of a school where the needs of students and families are prioritized. So, in this school, student interests and student needs would drive curricular decisions. Think of a school where next, teacher well-being is prioritized, and where managers or management like principals and APs are truly invested in the well-being of their teachers, which is, I believe, is the greatest asset in a school. I really like this next slide too because it shows how valuable servant leadership, the style, could be in a school setting. So on the x-axis, we have task emphasis, and on the y-axis, we have people emphasis. I think school leaders are supposed to be transformational and democratic in sort of their management styles because school leaders ought to transform school communities for the better. And I think school leaders should utilize democratic processes like shared decision making, empowering teachers to make curriculum decisions. And so, as you can see by this chart, I think servant leadership would work well, extremely in school settings because we want our principals to be transformational and democratic in every way possible. Here's some pitfalls. I think servant leadership is not as effective in the case of an emergency because there would be too many voices. We want one wise leader calling the shots. And one must know that servant leadership requires a lot of time, resources, and support from every stakeholder and every level in order for change to take place. I just want to end by one more quote by Robert Greenleaf. He asks, do those served grow as persons? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? I think we all know that the answer is yes. I think the best leaders, in terms of history and in my own life, the best principles are those that help create self-sustaining organizations. Organizations that succeed without one person in the middle, one person at the top. And so I truly think that in order to create a self-sustaining school for the long haul, I think it starts with servant leadership. If all students, if all families, if all teachers saw the person in charge serving in love and in faith, I truly think that this would be inspirational, that it would be contagious, and truly be a movement within any school community.